Hi everyone, I hope that we are live now. I had some problems with trying to do this in the actual I Love Vampire group, and I apologize if you are one of the people from that group that we couldn't make it work. For some reason, the group live producer is down today, and it keeps on saying that the content is not available right now, and so I'm doing this from my page instead, but I will share the link in there afterwards. So let me just get the computer all straightened out. I think I can go full screen here somewhere. Sorry about this. I'm trying to make it so that it's going to be all the way, and also hoping that I can see your comments. So let's see. I think I'm good with all of that stuff. Sorry, I'm sort of new to all of this stuff, so I want to make sure that I got it all going correctly. So anyway, I wanted to show you guys how to make this Swedish Kladdkaka, which is basically loosely translates to Swedish Gooey Cake. So if you don't know me, I am Asa Maria Bradley, and I write paranormal romance and urban fantasy. My paranormal romance is about immortal Vikings who have come back from Valhalla to current times, and they are here to protect humanity from Loki and his shenanigans. And I also have an urban fantasy series out, which is about a woman named Molly, and she's a forensic artist, and she has some special powers in terms of being able to tell when people are not completely describing exactly what it was that they saw, and she got these powers when she was hit by lightning as a little girl. I'm originally from Sweden, so hence my paranormal romance with the Vikings, and I grew up with lots and lots of Norse mythology all around me in terms of artifacts and old graves, and not so many buildings because most of it has buried since we were talking about 1,000 years ago. But right outside of the area where I live, they have just discovered a few years ago a new big island. I was going to say architectural site, but that's not true. A new big anthropology site where they are unburying, they're revealing a huge Viking settlement, and they think that this is actually probably going to be bigger than the huge Viking settlement that they discovered up in Birka, up outside of Stockholm. So I can go on and on about Norse mythology forever. But I am originally from Sweden, and therefore that's why we're doing the Swedish Gooey Cake right now. My computer is over here, so when you see me going sideways, that's just because I want to make sure that I'm checking to see whether or not there are any comments coming through. And don't see anything right now. If you are watching, I think we have a couple of people watching. Could you let me know whether or not you can hear me okay? Because I have the mic set up on my camera over here. I'm not super savvy with the camera angles and everything else, so you'll see some interesting setups. You have to make sure that I'm not outside of the viewing area. I think I have everything set up okay. You're in my kitchen right now, and this kitchen is something that we're very proud of, my husband and I, because we actually designed it ourselves. We tore out a whole bunch of walls in this area in our house, and then sat down and designed the kitchen exactly how we wanted it. But both my husband and I cook. Actually, my husband cooks more. I bake more than I cook. I can assemble meals, but I'm not that great at actually cooking. So let me just go back over here just to make sure that everybody can comment, and Hey, I see Beth and I see Bobby. I'm just gonna wave to you guys. Can you guys hear me okay? Does the volume is okay? Thank you, Rebecca. All right, so we're gonna get going then. So this is a recipe that if you talk to any Swede, they probably have like their own favorite recipe for Kladdkaka. And Kladdkaka basically just translates to kind of gooey cake. And that's exactly what it is. It's an incredibly dense chocolate cake. And if you're a fan of chocolate, then this is your cake. It's kind of like a brownie, but it's even denser than that. It has like very little flour. It has about a cup of flour and a lot of sugar. So this is my like favorite cake. My special twist on the cake is that I like to add some citrus zest. You can add orange. I really like adding orange. That's one of my favorite things, chocolate and orange together. And today I'm actually going to experiment and add some lemon instead and see how that turns out. I think I've done that one time before and it turned out pretty good. So we're going to like put a little bit of citrus zest in it, and it's going to be lemon this time. You can also go even more adventurous and maybe do something like Grand Marnier. We've done that before. You can add coconut, you can add walnuts, you can do whatever you want. When the cake is finished, it takes a long time to bake in the oven. It takes about 50 minutes. We don't decorate it very much in Sweden. We kind of just take a little bit of powdered sugar. We sift powdered sugar on top of it and then serve it with just whipped cream and some fresh berries, and it's super great. We are actually having a bit of a heat wave here right now. It's October and we've had rain, we've had super cold nights. We put a warmer comforter on our bed because it was getting super cold. And today we are like up in the high 80s and the sun is beating down. So it's not the greatest day to bake with the oven on. So if you see me sweating profusely, just chuck it up to that it's weather, but it's worth it for this cake. So, so what I have right here is I have my cheat recipes. I'm going to tell you what's in here first of all. So you need 3 eggs. You need 5 ounces of butter, and it should be softened. And so I've left this out for a while. And 5 ounces is basically a stick of butter and then 2 more tablespoons. So that's 10 tablespoons of butter. If you want to do some zesting, then you need a citrus fruit of some kind. I have some vanilla extract right here. It's like 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. I'm going to crack the eggs in here in a little bit. And 2.5 cups of sugar, 1 cup of flour, and then 6 tablespoons of cocoa powder or some chocolate powder of some kind. The nicer you make the chocolate powder, the better the cake tastes. So I've experimented with some kind of different ones. The Hershey one doesn't turn out really super great, so I have gone from super expensive ones to, I kind of like the Toll House one that works out great, but you can experiment, which is just an excuse to make even more cakes and get that going. In terms of maybe you want to make one with orange and Toll House, maybe you want to make one with orange and Hershey, maybe one with lemon and Hershey, maybe one with Grand Marnier and Hershey, and see which ones you like best, because you can never have too many chocolate cakes. What I'm going to do is I am going to make sort of a crumbly mess with the butter in the sugar. And I'm not really like a technical baker. My experience in baking and in terms of my education in baking is basically watching my mom do it. And but I have been watching the Great British Bake Off, so you know everybody is a great baker. I tend to do a lot of stuff in Pyrex because that's what we have at home, and we don't really do very much in terms of technical stuff with things, but it works. So let me put the softened butter in here. I'm going to put that in there. And I didn't plan this very well because now I'm going to use my very old Betty Crocker whisk to make this into a crumbly mess. So here we go. so hopefully you guys can hear me over that. I'll whisk it and then maybe talk in between. This whisk is one of my favorite kitchen utensils, and the reason why it is, it's super old. It predates my husband's and my relationship, and we celebrated 20 years anniversary of being married last year, so I guess that means we celebrated 21 this year, so I know how to do math. And that we dated for about a year and a half before that, probably. So this whisk is why for the longest time, whenever I asked for presents and I asked for kitchen gadgets, my husband wouldn't buy any for me, and I couldn't figure out why. And this whisk came with my husband when we moved in together. And it turns out that the girlfriend that he had, the long-term girlfriend he had way before he met me, he bought this for her as a Christmas present, and she was highly offended and threw it at him. So I just think there's something wonderful in that, and I hope it lasts a long time. I've had to replace these ones, but other than that, it sort of has a family history, so I have to keep it. Also, I sympathize because I think she was expecting something different for Christmas maybe, and she was tired of doing all the cooking and cleaning, because at the time, my husband's from England, if you don't already know, and at the time, she didn't have a work visa, so she was doing a lot of the household chores. She's a very nice person, I think. I haven't met her, but I've heard from other people that she's very nice. All right, I'm going to put this on low. I think I can crumble this together. It's working pretty good because the butter has been out for like close to an hour probably. So I don't know if you can see, but it's going to be really crumbly. I'll show you guys in a minute together. And all you really want is you want all the sugar and the butter to be incorporated into each other. So you don't want to see any loose sugar crystals. But it doesn't have to be perfect, because once you add some liquid to it, which is basically just the egg, it will mix nicely. Some people have favorite recipes with Kladdkaka where they use melted butter. I've tried some of those, but sometimes, since it's such a dense cake, sometimes the butter, if you melt it before you bake it, the butter goes to the bottom of the cake container. I'll figure that out what the name for that is later on. So the bottom ends up being like too crunchy. So I like not melting the butter before. Okay, I think this is pretty good. I'm going to turn that off. The batter, when it's done, is going to be like super dense. But one of the reasons why I really like this is because it's super easy to do. It doesn't have that many ingredients. But also, if you ever want to make gluten-free desserts, this is perfect because since it only has a cup of flour, you can substitute that flour with some other flour. I've made this with chickpea flour. I've made it with almond flour, which turns out really good. And you don't have to add any extra ricing agent to it because it's supposed to be super, super dense. I'm going to crack the eggs into this bowl with the vanilla extract. Right now, and the reason I do that is because I am not super great at cracking eggs either, so that way I can fish out the shells. So we put these in here. And one more. Oh, I think I managed to do it without any extra shells, so that's good. The first thing you should do, probably, this is why I'm not a great baker, is preheat the oven to 350 degrees, which I've already done. That's the fan that you hear in the background. That's actually the oven. Any other strange sounds is from my dog, who is lying by the door and being pouty because I told him he couldn't be over here, which is where he usually is whenever I cook anything. So I'll put the eggs and the vanilla extract into the flour, no, not the flour, the sugar and the butter. So this is what it looks like right now. Get that going, and I can go a little bit faster this time since I have a little bit of liquid in here. will be kind of smooth. And this is where the butter and the sugar also comes together, so just I don't worry too much about it when I'm crumbling it together, because the egg gives you just enough liquid where it's starting to look like cake batter. Good for now. This is what it looks like. If you can see, I'm trying to see if I'm showing you guys anything over there. It looks pretty good. It looks like cake batter, so that's always good. And I am going to take my lemon and get some zest going. I don't have a professional zester either. I just use this old grating thing, which I think is also something that I've inherited from somewhere. I've had this since like I was in college, I think, but I use it for just grating cheese or anything else. I usually do about 1/2 of the citrus fruit, whatever it is that I'm using, and if it smells really strongly, then I might go with a little bit of less, but I'm going to see how the lemon works out. And on this side, the zest I got is actually pretty good sized. It's almost like it's shredded rather than zested, which is fine, and I like it because when you bite into the cake this way, it has a little bit of, if you hit one of the shredded lemon pieces, you get an extra burst of citrus, which is what I like. If that's not your thing, then zest it a little bit smaller. And I don't know if you've done this before, but I basically zest it or just shred it down to where I get to the white part of the citrus fruit and not too much of the white part, which I don't really have a reason for other than I think I want the skin more because it has more flavor. Okay, I think that's probably good. It looks about right. I usually sort of gauge it by about a tablespoon. When I do orange, I sometimes put more in because I really like the orange and chocolate. If you've ever had, in England they have these little chocolate oranges for Christmas, so that's something I learned about after I met my husband. And it's basically a chocolate orange shaped like an orange, but it comes in slices, and the slices stick together by a little core in the middle, which is also made of chocolate. And when you get the orange, you whack it, and it falls apart as if it was an orange in a whole bunch of different slices. And also something really good. So chocolate and orange is like one of my jams. So I'm putting this in with the sugar and butter and everything else. And I'm feeling very Swedish because I'm using a plate from IKEA, and I'm wearing my apron from IKEA, and we're baking a Swedish cake. So that is super Swedish today. Put my flour and my cocoa powder in. So it's almost a cup of cocoa powder, well, half a cup maybe. So 1 cup of flour and 6 tablespoons of cocoa powder. Put that in here, and this is now usually when it gets a little bit messy because the powder will fly up in the air when I start mixing it. So this is going to get super thick, but that's okay. Go on low, mix all of this together. And if you're using good cocoa powder, then this is where you'll see the batter turn kind of a dark chocolate. I used to buy a special cocoa powder from Holland. That was super, super good. But I was making this cake so often that it turned out to be a little bit expensive. So now I'm okay with a more budget brand of the cocoa powder. I'm not quite as snooty about my Kladdkaka, basically because more cake definitely makes up for more expensive chocolate powder. I'm going to poke that part in right there. Make sure that I have all the corners and there's no non-chocolatey powder going here. Which is another reason why I like doing it in Pyrex, because I can see how I'm mixing on the bottom. Alright, that's basically it in terms of making the cake batter. It's super easy, and it basically has ingredients that we usually have at home all the time. Sugar, flour, butter, vanilla extract, some eggs, and some zest if you want it from citrus fruit or whatever kind of alcohol you might want to put in there. So it's almost like a brownie, but I like it better than brownies because it's not as, the chocolate taste has like a more overpowering thing in this cake, and also, you know, if you serve it as a Swedish gooey cake, it sounds better than if you're serving brownies, I guess. I don't know. Okay, so we'll put these away, and those will be licked by me later. And then I'm going to bring out my spring form, which is what I like to bake this cake in. Let's see here. And the reason why I like to bake the cake in the spring form is because the edges of the cake can stick to the, even though this is a non-stick cake container, the edges often get stuck on the edge of it, and so one of the things I do is I use parchment paper on the bottom to get it off easier. So let me get some of that. A very fancy parchment paper. Here we go. That's big enough. And then one of my favorite things about spring forms is you can put it down, put this on top of it, and it's super nice and flat on the bottom, and I don't have to worry about cutting out a shape or anything. It's actually just perfect right now. And if I wanted to be technical, I could line the edges as well, but I have not managed to get it to not seal properly between the two parchment papers. And so what I do instead is I use the wrapping from my butter and just smear it on the inside of the sides of the tin, and that works out pretty good. Cake tin, that's what it's called. I have problems sometimes because I was taught British English from the beginning. That was my English lessons. Then I came to the States and basically learned Texas English, because that's where I was for 5 years, and then met my husband, and so I switched between British and American English, and sometimes I'm speaking Swinglish. So I don't know why American English and British English has to have so many different terms, but things like icing sugar versus powdered sugar, and what's the other thing you get mixed up? Paper towel versus kitchen roll, and so sometimes I mix the two together. So if I'm not making sense, I'll just say it's probably a British term, or maybe it's my Swedish term. So I'll put this over here, and I'm going to take my butter, the wrapping paper from the butter, and I'm just going to smear that around a little bit to make sure that the cake comes out easier. And that's it. And then I need one of my, I don't know what these are called. In Swedish, this is called a slickepot, which basically means a utensil for like licking things off. Like if somebody went around and licked a lot of cake tins, you would probably nickname them slikkepot. And that's probably not the technical term for it. That's probably what my mom taught me to call it. But basically, it's to scrape all the batter out of the cake, and then also a little bit out in the cake tin. So here we go. You can see how thick it is. It's super thick. This is going to be good cake here. This will be for dessert tonight. Usually I have to take half of it and freeze it. Otherwise I eat this in just a few days. That's how much I like it. I'm kind of a chocoholic though, so. If chocolate is your thing, this is your cake. Okay, and now the dog is pouting again because he doesn't get to lick tins or bowls that have chocolate in it, which is his job, is to pre-rinse before things go in the dishwasher. So he's over there pouting. Okay, I'm going to spread this out just a little bit. It is, you know, what holds it together right now is a lot of butter and flour, so you don't have to mess with it too much. I'm just sort of trying to get some of the air out, making sure that I don't have any air pockets, but that works out pretty good. The other thing is that since it's such a dense cake, you don't have to worry about sifting the flour. And I think I already told you that you can use gluten-free flour, and it turns out really good. I'm going to stick this in the oven. It'll be in the oven for about 45 minutes to 50 minutes. The way I check to make sure that it is finished is I basically stick a toothpick in the middle, and if the toothpick comes out dry, then I know that it's finished. And it's going to look very dark, and it'll kind of have a crackled top because of all the butter that's in here with the sugar. And it turns out to be just a really nice cake. And when you cut into it, you'll have that crackled layer on top, and then a very dense chocolate layer. So I will take a picture of it when it is finished, and I will post that in both the group, in the I Love Vampire Novels group, and I'll post it here on the page as well, where the video is right now. And then the giveaway, if you want to enter the giveaway, is basically just put in the comments on the on my page where the link to the video is. Just put what your favorite cake is, and I will give away a signed copy of the first book in my Power of Lightning series, which is A Flash of Fear. So that's the first book where you meet Molly, and the second book has just come out, so hopefully you will like the first book well enough to buy the second one as well. If you're an ebook reader, then for the next couple of days the first book is on sale for 99 cents, so that's also a good time to pick up the first in the series. All right, I think I am done. This is pretty much it in terms of how to bake Kladdkaka. Let's see if there are any questions. Oh, I did not know how to do the comments. So Piper is here for Swedish Gooey Cake, and Kate says she loves my kitchen. Thank you. Piper is going all out on this cake. That's pretty fun. And I think that's about it. Does anybody have any questions about the cake or anything else? I'm going to put this in the oven so that I don't forget, and I'll come back and see if there are any particular questions. So hold on one second. Let's put it in the oven. That is set for 45 minutes, and I think we're pretty much done. I can show you the pouty dog before I leave, and you can see the size you were hearing in the background. comes from this guy right here who's unhappy that how he has been told to get out of the kitchen area. This is how he usually lies when he's napping. I don't know why he likes to have his feet up against a wall, but he does. All right, thank you so much for coming to my first baking video, and don't forget to tell me what your favorite cake is, and I will pick a winner tomorrow. Bye everyone, enjoy the chocolate cake. Oh, I will also post the recipe so that you guys can get the printed recipe in case you want to bake your own without having to watch the whole video. Bye everyone. You should make the cake, Bobby. It's amazing.